Raindrops keep falling on my head. But whoop, that doesn't mean my eyes will still be turning red. Cry is not for me, because I'm WooSah! Nothing's bothering me. You might hear a little bit of rain. We are in the car review. So today's going to be kind of a mixed bag. I realize I'm probably just going to, since this should be, if my math is correct, Friday, a good way to wrap up WooSah week. WooSah! We got the 29 Chakra fletchings, eh? Fletching on your namaste, on your chakras, eh? Kind of looks like a namaste, see? But it's a little thicker, it's a little larger with a flatter triangles on the end of the arm, see? Yeah, I thought we would talk about the chakras, talk about the boss a little bit, just talk about WooSah in general, and I realized I didn't bring in my stuff to record and talk about the traveling WooSah, but I need to get a post up, and that is pretty much ready to go. So maybe we'll just start with that while we show off the spinners a little bit. So the traveling WooSah, if you go back and look at my aluminum orbit Cosmo video, original fun orbital Cosmo, I mentioned wanting to send that spinner out and have sort of like a little care package that goes around so we can get a lot of people spinning the same spinner. I just thought that would be unique and a cool thing to do, and WooSah seems like the spinner that makes the most sense to do that with. So what I'd like to do is get two posts going over on the WooSah page. One for everybody to, I guess we'll probably need three. One for everybody to kind of show interest in who wants to do it, and then two kind of like the as it travels around, as it goes around, who's got it and where it's going, kind of like what's the next step kind of a thing. And then a third post where hope we can, maybe get some sort of album or pictures uploaded where we all show pictures from, we take a picture with a spinner, right? You take a picture of it, in something, maybe just at home, maybe in front of a local landmark if there's something nearby, if you're near the Empire State Building or, the Statue of Liberty or the Grand Canyon or something like that, if you happen to be able to do that sort of thing. So, and I don't want to set a time limit. I don't want someone to feel like you have to have it for 2 days and then send it out, right? If you've got it a week, if you got it, heck, even a month, I just kind of wanted to kind of go around and have people have a chance to get it and not just like get it, take a picture and send it, right? Like to enjoy it and spin it a little bit. So, but what I've got in the box, and I think this is what I want to limit it to, because especially in the U.S., I want to try and keep it under 13 ounces so it can be first class. Once it goes international, I think the limit is 4 pounds, but I don't know what shipping is within other international countries, like from UK to the UK. I don't know what their shipping limits look like, so trying to keep it as light as possible. But basically what I've got is the spinner. I've got a little notepad. And we can kind of like write little notes in it, either, whatever's on, no rhyme or reason or rules with most of this stuff, right? Write whatever you want to write about. Write a little page about what you do with a spinner, how you feel, completely unspinner related, doesn't matter, just a chance. And yeah, if you don't want to write anything, don't write anything. But I thought it'd be neat to get a little notepad with some thoughts from people. So, for example, I kind of said, I had the first page, welcome to the traveling WooSah. And I forget what else I wrote, but then on the second page, I kind of talked about the notepad and the pen that I use, because I like fountain pens. I don't have a big collection or anything like that. I've just got a couple nice ones, but there's this ink in particular I really like, and I kind of talk about that, so just something a little fun. But then I've also got a big fold-out map of the world, and it sort of looks like one of those old antique ancient maps. And I thought it'd be cool to track the places that the WooSah goes. So we would, I'll put a little spot up in Burlington, Vermont, and then whoever gets it next can draw a line to wherever it goes, and then the next person draws a line to where it went to get to them, and just kind of have, its destination around the world. I thought would be cool. So that's pretty much all set up and good to go. What ideally I'd like to do, just to figure out the order, is I figured we'd go through everybody in the U.S. that wants to do it and try to do it by proximity. So who's closest to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, until everybody in the U.S. has it, going again by proximity. Who's closest to, so whoever's the closest to Burlington, Vermont that wants to do it would get it next. And let's say that's, New York City. Well, then whoever's closest to New York City next would get it, and so on and so forth until it's done in the U.S. And then whoever's the closest outside of the U.S. and then through that country, and then whoever's the closest outside of that country, and so on and so forth until it goes. And again, this is probably going to take a long time to do what it's going to do, because especially international shipping could take a week. So the only thing you have to do to be in it is to be willing to ship it. So in the U.S., first class shipping is going to be around $3 to $4, depending on where it goes internationally. That international jump is between 10 to 22, 25 or 22.50, I think. Like Canada, for example, I think is like $9 and change. But if you're going to some place like, Thailand or Slovenia or something like that, it's like $22 or something like that. So, yeah, and then everywhere in between, some are like $13 and stuff like that. Australia, I think, is like $13. So, anywho, so that's the traveling WooSah idea. So we'll get something on that going a little more formal here. But yeah, just so you can know what to expect and what to be on the lookout for. So get on the WooSah page. If you're not on the WooSah page, I know at least one person has chatted me through email. Yeah, just chat me on YouTube or drop a comment that you did chat me, because YouTube's notifications kind of stink. So if you drop a comment in this video and say, hey Tim, I sent you a YouTube comment, I can use that to then get your email, because I don't really like people having to put their email on like comments that anybody can see. But if you want to, just throw it up there, and then I can get your address and get it added into the list on the Facebook group in terms of like, hey, this is who you need to ship it to next. So yeah, and we can go from there. So anyway, let's talk about the Chakra here for a bit. So the Chakra is really, I don't think I weighed the Chakra, so let's move this here. Now the Chakra is sort of like the first high-end kind of breakout spinner that WooSah had. So they had all the originals, and then it seemed like they were doing a lot of originals. So that's 104 grams, and that's 110.7, so 111. So the Chakra was the first one they really kind of came out with and kind of like broke away. I actually don't even want to say broke away, but kind of got into what really started to feel like a much higher end spinner. So these still feel like they're good spinners and all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. In fact, I know a lot of people probably love their Namastes more than their Chakras, with some of the cult followings that the Namaste has, with so many different versions that it has. And being affordable, you really can, try to collect them all. It still adds up real quick, but at, $45 a pop ish, it's not too bad. But the Chakra then steps it up, where you've got a thicker body. You've got, especially on the stainless steel, right? You've got these raised weights on this one. Now they've made a bunch of different versions. They may start bringing the polish back in small batches, so be on the lookout if you really want the full polish. But they're just that extra added weight and the weight distribution, much like you've seen me talk about with like the Talisman or the Hydra. A lot of the weight is still internal, so it still maintains a lot of its fidgetability and speed. So in particular, let's talk about this one for a second. This is my first experience with a fletching pattern from WooSah, and this is pretty cool. So the fletching, I would almost expect to do something similar like this, where these little curves, let's see if you can kind of pick that up. You see all these little concentric circles you get from the curves because of a little bit the patina. It's not quite as reflecty as it used to be, but you get these concentric circles. I would have expected something like this, but some magic happens with the fletching. Watch this. See if I can get this to show off. It kind of wants to... warp a little bit. But you get like a machined finish. See that? See how it almost looks like the same sort of... I'm seeing it a little bit better in person than you're seeing on camera. But you get like what you would normally see with something like a machined finish. So it's sort of that concentric circle, but even though it's warping, it's kind of giving you a bit of an idea of kind of what's happening. But there's no machined finish. It's polished, and then it's just this etching. So something away, this reflection goes one way and then goes this way on the other side as those are overlapping at high speed. It's pretty cool. So just an observation I've had on the excuse me, on the on the fletching. So, and then, very similar to what I had to say on the Cosmo, and I think I made this on the Namaste. I don't find a huge difference from a material standpoint. So from the stainless steel, especially with the raised weights, adding a little extra, I'm not finding that the weight difference is all that big of a deal. So for me, it's really the material that you prefer. Do you like copper? Are you Rommel? Are you Mark Mullins and just having an obsession with orange? Or are you like me and you love the polished stainless steel feel? Because they've got a good polish going on over there. As someone that does hand polishing, I really appreciate this. Feels closer to hand polishing than most other polish spinners that I handle and play with, and my polish ones do feel substantially different to me. So for me and for where my money's at, the Chakra is... I feel like I've probably been a little contradictory because I've talked about how fidgetable this is, and I've talked about how these are great entry-level spinners. But for me, the Chakra is the WooSah form factor that is for me. Like, that's the spinner that I most associate with them. You know, maybe it was partially because I was just starting to get into the spinner game, really feeling the love from WooSah when this came out. You know, got a special customized letter. You know, was kind of riding high after doing a nice review and being in touch with those guys. And there was still the novelty of spinners, which, you know, starting to wear off a little bit. Still appreciating spinners, but it's much different, right? So it's not so much the novelty as it is, you know, just the spinner game, I guess, you know, so. But Chakras are lovely, lovely, fantastic. Again, they're a little bit pricey, but again, the fit and finish and the effort that goes into them, the extra material, the extra machining time and stuff like that, it's just how it goes. So, but again, I think for me, if money is not an issue, the Chakra is where to go. And they're not even really like that expensive. They're about twice what a Namaste is, but I feel like there's twice the work going into them. So, it is what it is. So. I think they're usually around 80 or 90, depending on what configurations you get. Maybe a little bit more with the stainless steel buttons, but is what it is. But these can get 2 awkward thumbs up all the way up. You can remember, right? Like this has been in 2 of my top 10s. It was as high as I think it was number 2, right, in my first one, and then I think it did drop a bit to number 7 in the most recent one that I did. But still a fantastic spinner. Don't let the fact that it dropped take anything away, because it was still in the top 10. So, and then the boss I'm really, and again I mentioned this in one of the videos I think on Tuesday, the boss is really starting to appeal to me more and more. The boss is just a fantastic heavy spinner. As I've been playing around more with tungsten, I'm really appreciating its size and weight. Now it is still a big boy. She is a big boy. She's a big boy. It's a big boy. Bob, we had a baby, eats a boy. Somebody tell me what that's from. Bob, we had a baby, it's a boy. Who was that, dear? It was Bob. He had a baby. It's a boy. 130.8 grams. So pretty heavy on the old heavy scale. Can you imagine this in tungsten? Holy crap. It'd be like, I don't know, 300 grams? 260, 270 grams? It would be heavy. But it's great. It's great at its weight. It's great at its heft. They've come out with a couple different versions of the boss. So this was kind of the first version they did from the Kickstarter backer. Number 1 backer on the WooSah Kickstarter, y'all, right here. I got the screenshots to prove it. Or maybe the number 1 boss backer. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was the number 1 boss backer that backed the boss pledge level. Either way, I'll still take it. But really, really good. Heavy fidgetable spinner. So it's got a lot of weight pushed to the outside. I should have done another spin time on this and hooked it up with a really nice hybrid ceramic bearing. Maybe I'll do that at some point before I upload it. No promises. So if you see times below, great. If you don't see times below, I didn't get to it. I'm sorry. But I kind of in my head all week that I wasn't really talking about spin times, but this could be kind of a contender, because look at the form factor, right? What have we learned? What did you learn? We've learned that with the WooSahs, or not with the WooSahs, with the spinners, when you've got more weight on the outside and reduced weight. Now it would be even better if we had some, like, maybe circles cut out here, but again, that would be more purely from a reducing mass near the middle and spin time. I do have what I believe is 9417, y'all. What I believe is a stealth in there, a stealth hybrid ceramic, which is still very smooth, but yeah, can get you some better spin times. I'm finding for the most part in my WooSahs, I'm enjoying taking them out and putting in something like a hex super bearing, or in some cases even like a little bit more feedbacky bearing. That's something that's great about WooSah as well, is they work well with bearings that provide a little bit of feedback. So, you know, I did that Trillium versus Chakra smoothness video, but the Trillium doesn't really work with any other bearing other than a Trillium bearing, than a 1-drop bearing. You really want that dead smoothness in that, where WooSah is dynamic enough to be able to use different style bearings. So, but the boss in particular is good. And as I've been using tungsten more and appreciating more weight, despite, you know, when I started this, right, I was always into like the weight, but something lately where I've come full circle. I kind of was starting to appreciate smaller spinners, and now I still have an appreciation for those, but I'm enjoying the weight. I don't know if my fingers are just getting to the point where they're Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at my muscles, you little girly man. Hans and Franz here to pump you up. But my fingers really are good at throwing heavy spinners around, so I blame Raja and Fidget HQ. So, but really cool spin profile, right? We got a polish, we got a machine finish. Nice buttons. Feels good. So great spinner. Now these are, again, a little bit pricier. Now depending on what you're looking at, these are going to be as the same price as some of the high-end Chakras. So if you get like a copper Chakra with some of the raised weights and the stainless steel buttons, that's going to be around the same as a Boss, around the 129 mark. So take it for what it's worth. So take it for what it's worth. My life was a blessing. Oh, what a crap. How does that go? I'm not going to remember the lyrics to it. It was DMX, and now it's gone. So if I had remembered it, more of the lyrics, I would have asked you to tell me what it was from. So it was like, yeah, anyway. I think it was from his third album. I don't know, maybe it was the fourth one. Yeah, I think it was the fourth one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not talking about DMX, we're talking about WooSah. So really good. The form factor, again, nothing's changed on that. It's excellent for flicking. Like, these are perfect finger grooves in the middle here, reaching to the outside. This cut right here lets you, it's essentially like an extended finger groove, so really long pulls, preloaded pulls on the outside, catching the corner of an arm. So really love this. Now, the other versions of the Boss I've seen swoop out instead of swooping in, but that's still going to give you lots of good finger pressure on the outside. Here it lets you catch in the middle of the arm or the end of the arm. With that other one, you're probably catching on the end of the arm, or just right here is not as big as a move from here to here. So in theory, this gives you a wider space, wider area to do all that sort of fidgeting. But really good at fast pulls, fast fidgets. But even again, a gentle flick is nice. So yeah, so there you have it, WooSah week. We looked at just about all of their offerings to some in some degree. We didn't cover any of the aluminums really today, which is sad. I'm sad I forgot to bring that. I'm sad I forgot to bring the other one of these yesterday. But again, what can we say about WooSah? They do so many different designs, so they're taking their same versions and they're just offering a lot of different versions of it. So no matter who you are, no matter what you're after, there's probably a version for you. So let's give them all a little spin. Bumping them all around here. I feel bad. I think Course is going to feel like I'm abusing them, and they're just real light little taps. It's pretty resilient. I mean, they're metal, they're pretty hard, so just a little tap like that's not going to bother it, but I'm trying to be as gentle with them as I can. But these are also his EDC, so I bet he's banging them around more than I'm banging them around. So anywho, oh, this is kind of cool. The arms look much narrower as it's spinning there. You seeing that? Don't they look narrower than they are? I think we stop it like it's a full triangle, but when you... That's too fast. They kind of look like narrower arms. Maybe it's just me. Same thing with this. Don't they look narrow? That's neato. All right. We'll spin this one. Since this one's mine. This is a very special one to me. I think I got... Sorry, Chris Branch, for all the trouble it caused. He was mentioning these being serialized. I said, oh, can I get number 2 too? And then everybody asked for a personalized serial number. And I feel bad that was probably a nightmare for him. So, but at the same time, I do love the 2 too. So... And I have swapped this out with a Stealth Hybrid ceramic as well. So still very smooth. All right, Internet. It's been fun. It's been real. WooSah as a whole gets a couple thumbs up from Hobby Timmy. So we love you over there. We love all the WooSah family. So. And big thanks, Horace, for sending me all these extra ones to review and get my hands on. So love you guys. Kisses.